Well, hello, hello, hello. It is Friday. We call it Friday, and we are here for another live stream. We're going to get into the topic of anti-Black racism in Canada. Just waiting for a few more people to join, and then we will get started. We have a wonderful, courageous guest that's going to share her story of experiencing extreme anti-Black racism in the health sector. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it because to my American subscribers who are on, thank you for tuning in. A lot of you feel as though racism doesn't exist in Canada. We feel as though Canada is peaceful and there is no racism here. Everybody is so nice and kind. They hold hands and sing kumbaya. There's no racism there, and that is not the case. I myself have grown up here and I've experienced plenty, which is why I'm so passionate about exposing these injustices so that we can educate people and possibly work towards eradicating it and making our people whole for everything that they go through. So with that, we have, as I said, a special guest. Her name is Patricia Hamilton. She's going to share her story. But before that, I just want to play a short video of a class action lawsuit that's going on here in Canada. And it is the federal workers against the Canadian government and the Canadian Human Rights Commission due to over 50 years of anti-Black racism and discrimination. So some of these workers that are part of this class action lawsuit are going to share short clips of what they went through. So we're going to play that, and then we will bring on Patricia Hamilton, and we'll get started on her story. So let me just bring this up so we can watch it. Get ready for this, family. Let me see if
public service uses a number of tools and staffing actions to oppress Black employees. Staffing in the federal public service is subjective and not based on merit. And Black people have not been beneficiaries of the process.
I received a phone call, and the person asked, may I speak with, and they asked for my name. I said, yeah, speaking. And they said, you applied for a human resources advisor position, and I said, yes, I did. And they said, okay, before we kind of start this conversation, may I ask what ethnic or cultural background you belong to? And me being in my 20s at the time, totally naive, I didn't think anything of it, I said, sure. And they said, would you say you identify as European, Asian, Black, so on and so forth? And I said Black, and the phone disconnected.
26 years of working, and then anytime there was a special project like lifting, he always chose the Black ladies. And I hurt myself by lifting a box, and I couldn't stop bleeding. I had to go to emergency. They thought that I was having a miscarriage. I wasn't having a miscarriage. My doctor had to pull me out from work. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I have to say thanks to my doctor. I don't know if I call his name, but he saved my life by putting me off work. It affected my mental health and my physical health.
It is an environment that is so unjust, that has always put Black down. I was hospitalized because of that stress. Just thinking of going to work, I was vomiting. One morning I said, I can't do it anymore. I went to work that day, I was trembling. I was like, I could not stand, I could not sit. I actually was sent to the hospital, an MBA from the University of Ottawa and a Bachelor of Engineering degree from the University of Applied Sciences in Hamburg, Germany. I'm fully bilingual. I've been working for the CRE for the last 15 years. From my experience, Black are not truly accepted. Having an accent has nothing to do with being intelligent or being capable of understanding the job and doing the job.
My name is Alex, and I'm a public servant. I've decided to join the Black Class Action because I've worked as a Canadian public servant for over 18 years, and I've been subjected to discrimination, harassment, intimidation, bullying, retaliation, all at the hands of management, just because of my race.
When the opportunity came, those that did not look like me were the ones that garnered the position. It's even disheartening to see that these individuals that I've trained have gone on to leadership position. A number of my colleagues repeatedly asked me, Jennifer, why aren't you in a leadership role? You should be. And I said, well, the opportunities has been denied to me over the years. I'm a proud mother of 2 sons. I'm a proud grandmother of 5. I'm worried about my ability to be able to travel to visit my grandchildren. At this stage in my career, I had hoped that I would have been at some management or a higher leadership position. My pension is based on the best 5 years of my career. 30 years with 1 promotion, that's not the best.
I worked with CRE 38 years, and I was forced out of a job that I dedicated my life for. I had people that were like my family. That's how close we are. But being forced out of there was a devastation, and it really affected my life and my staff, that many of them felt they had to leave when I was forced out, and that's how bad it was. I don't want to see that happening ever again to people remaining with CRA. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here to fight for justice and to fight for those remaining, to provide a better environment where people can feel accepted, respected, and to basically represent the government the way it should be done.
I joined the Black Class Action Suit because I was in the federal government for decades and only got one promotion, yet I saw my white colleagues getting lots of promotions. So, me and another guy then started a group called the Federal Black Employees Caucus, where we were challenging systemic anti-black racism in the federal public service. And my managers responded to that by attacking me and hitting me with one sanction after another, culminating with them banning me from all my departmental buildings. So, I support the Black Class Action, and you should too if you've experienced that.
You want to work for your country, you want to represent your country, you want to work hard for them, but for some reason, because of the color of your skin, they don't want to see you go anywhere, and they just want to keep you at level. And I never thought that this would happen to me. It's just hard to believe that this would happen to me. I never thought that I would ever be in this position in life. And especially when I look at my daughters, I want something better for them. So if I have to fight, I'll fight. I have to, because it's not for me, it's for the next generation. I can't let this go on any longer.
This court case will set a precedent for future workers like myself, and I'm so glad we're here together and we're doing this in solidarity, and I believe and hope that it will be long-lasting change.
So that's just a few, but as I said, that's one of more than 45,000 plaintiffs, and they are suing the government for $2.5 billion. And here's the best part: the government is fighting back. Although they admit that anti-Black racism existed, they're still fighting back and refuse to pay and settle this case. So with that, and without further ado, I'm going to bring our guest on, and she's going to share her story. So let's bring her in. Hello, Patricia. Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Emma.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm here.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, first and foremost. I know it's never easy to, share your story. And I know you've gone through a lot because we've had conversations, and I'm happy that you have chose me, and that you are willing to share your story on this platform. This is a safe space. We are going to get into it. But before we get started, why don't you tell everybody about yourself so that, we can get to know you a little bit.
Well, I am Patricia Hamilton. I go by Trish. I did 17 years in social services before I decided to go out on my own. I run my own business, and I get to work with our people, every single day, and make an impact in our own community every single day. So that's what I do now, which brings me to a lot of different stories that I didn't get permission to share, so I'm just going to share my own, but it just backs up that this is not just about me, it's about all of us, because we all go through this, and we need some kind of a change, I kind of think. But yeah, so that's me. Everybody knows me as Trish. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, guys.
Oh, no, that's okay. We're all here for you, girl.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to tell your story now? What gave you, I guess, the courage, or what inspired you to say, you know what, I'm going to tell my story?
Well, just a little background, like I've always had issues in healthcare, in the healthcare. I've had issues in Canada pretty much since I've come to Canada. My name is Patricia Hamilton. As you can see, that's a white lady's name. And when you step into a room and they see that you're not a white Patricia Hamilton, everything changes. So I've been dealing with that since I was 9 years old in this country. And I also have a condition that called cyclic neutropenia, which makes my white cells, they drop every 6 weeks, which means I'm getting sick frequently. And prior to knowing about this condition, I was sick all the time, which meant I was in the doctor's office, I was at the walk-in clinic, I was at the hospitals, I'm getting pricked, I'm getting medicated, all these different things. I also was in foster care when I was just, what was it, nine, almost 10. And I found that we were little black girls, because I'm a little black girl, we're used to test drugs. We're used to test theories. I always say medicine is theory just because I'm like, the amount of doctors I've seen, they have no idea what they're doing some of the times. Right? So my trust isn't really there. But fast forward a little bit, what made me start talking about this more and more is simply that at my most vulnerable state, when you go and you're like, okay, I'm going to go get some support. It was my family that went to get support because I said, don't bring me to their hospitals, don't bring me to their doctors. I don't want anything, just let me die. But, they were scared. They brought me to the hospital and we experienced a really big racist experience. And I did not get care. I had swelling on my brain, so I couldn't advocate for myself. My daughter had to advocate for me. And I had another lady, a white lady, who was advocating for me, who spoke about the fact that, maybe I'm anxious because I had experienced racialized experience in that same emergency room. And that triggered the nurse. That triggered an entire blow up that made no sense to me at the end of the day, because it was just a suggestion that, okay, well, maybe understand that she's experienced some things in the past. I've come and advocated for her in the past. Well, maybe we can just, give her the care she needs. Let's try and take care of her. No, she went off. Police was called. Security officers for the hospital was called, and I'm in seizure. On the hospital bed, don't really know how to help myself because I couldn't walk. I couldn't really talk for myself. And this is happening. And to make it worse, instead of just saying, okay, call it a day, we didn't give her the care, leave it alone, a damaging report was written that we pretty much, they were trying to criminalize myself and my daughter as to why I didn't get care. And that
okay, so take us back. So what exactly happened? You went to the ER.
Well, we went in, it was an emergency situation. So we got triage. I got triaged right away. They were trying to communicate with me, but couldn't fully communicate with me. So my daughter was my advocate and she would translate because English was really hard for me to find. It was like my brain was splitting open trying to find English words. So I was having a really hard time. So Papa, I'm from Jamaica. And I would just speak in Patois to my daughter, and then she would relay what it is, the answer, if she didn't know the answer already. So they let us through. I went in, and then we got that kind of a look because it's not the white Patricia Hamilton, it's the black Patricia Hamilton. It's like, here we go. And we ended up going, I went to the bathroom first, then we went. And I noticed, this is one of the things that drives me crazy. I noticed there was a blonde girl in the cubicle beside me, and we were in the treatment room because it's an emergency, which meant that we needed care. Like I needed care. It was treatment 1 or something like that, or it was triaged as urgent. And the girl is there and they're treating her so kind and talking to her so nice. And I was just in my head, I was like, okay. And I told my daughter, I was like, okay, they're going to deal with me good because they were so sweet to her.
Right.
Yeah, that didn't happen. The doctor got irritated when she's going behind me and she's talking behind me. And here I am having sensory issues. I can't hear her. I can't understand what's happening. And I'm like, can you swap with my daughter? You know, and I'm speaking Patois also. My first set of locks, I had shaved them because the swelling on my brain was so heavy. So I had a shaved head. Okay. I must have looked wild because it wasn't professionally done. It was just let's cut this off because I can't manage, I can't cope. And she already had her little stereotypes because of the way I looked, because of the way that I sounded. I didn't have the perfect image.
English accent and right.
Exactly. So that she was just like, oh. So she goes in front, she sits beside my daughter, she's speaking, she can't understand what I'm saying. So I'm like trying to get my daughter to talk to her. Then my daughter ended up calling the white advocate because she didn't have all the answers. And the doctor ended up talking to the lady on the phone, but then she gets irritated because of how they were advocating for me. And this lady, she's very pro, she did a lot of like race awareness type of stuff back in her day. So she also knows my experiences because she's come and bailed me out a few times where I needed blood. I was dying and she had to raise up her little tiny self, had to raise up people in the hospital saying, you need to save her, kind of thing. So she was coming from that point of view. And the doctor was just coming from the point of view of, I don't have the patients today, I guess. I'm not sure where she was coming from. So she, on the report, she left and she said, call the police. So before anything could even happen, she already made the decision, call the police. She needs to be discharged, or she needs to be escorted, or something like that was written. And the nurse comes in, my daughter becomes like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand what's happening. So she gives the phone to the nurse so she could talk to this woman, because again, I'm not speaking. I'm literally laying on the bed, watching all of this happening, can't speak for myself. It's driving me crazy because it's like in my head, I want to say so much, but I can't speak. And I'm hearing the communication, and I just remember the lady on the phone saying, you know, she's dealt with a lot of racialized experience in this very same emergency room. And the nurse said, well, I'm offended. And that offended.
Where is this? This is do you feel comfortable saying the name of the hospital and where it is?
Oh, yeah. University Hospital here in London, Ontario. You will never catch me putting my foot in that hospital. So yeah, then that hospital has done a lot of other things too that led up to me being so afraid of being in there. And, you know, my fear sensors were so heightened because of the fact that I've had a doctor, when I go in, I'm bleeding for 28 days and a doctor tells me I'm coming in for drugs. No, I don't want your drugs. I just want you to fix what's going on.
Yes, and that's the other misconception
with
our people. When we go into the hospital, ladies and gentlemen, they do not take our pain seriously.
No.
And part of the reason
possibly be in pain, I couldn't possibly be bleeding for 28 days, and that and he laughed and said, I'm only there for drugs. And I was like pleading. I'm like, I don't
want they say. They say this commonly, and especially with young Black men, that they could just be wearing a hoodie and some jeans or a sweatsuit, and he just wants drugs. It can't possibly be that he's in pain or he's suffering. And they do that a lot with our people in the healthcare system. And part of the reason for that is because in their schooling, they are taught that Black people have thick skin.
Yeah.
So
and I think
with that, they're like, oh, Black people have thick skin. So they legit don't take our pain seriously. No. When we say they don't want to do the testing that they would do if it was another race of person that came in. So I just wanted to jump in and sort of co-sign on what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I find that, like, if you don't have some good people in healthcare, we don't get good experiences because it takes the good people. I remember even that experience I was telling before. It was the nurse that actually advocated for me to do an ultrasound to find out, yes, I did have metal inside me that was rotting away my organs, you know? So which was something that happened from another surgery, which shouldn't have happened. So you know what I mean? Like there are things happening that they're like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. I kind of think that they use us as guinea pigs to figure out, okay, well, this works and that doesn't work, and nobody will listen to that person because he flat out told me there's no metal in you. You're just making this up. I'm like, do the ultrasound, you will see. I'm allergic to metal. Something's happening. And it was the lady who advocated for me to have that ultrasound. Why? Finally, it was like on the screen, there it is. It's not where it's supposed to be. And it shouldn't have even been there to begin with, you know? So then they finally was like, okay, well, yeah, I guess she's not here for drugs, because I don't usually like drugs. I've had another experience where I told them I don't want any drugs. They put the IV in, said it was only for fluids. And then I don't know exactly how much time had passed, but I wake up, I'm groggy. They can't tell me what I was given. I just pulled everything out and I left. And those type of things, it's just like, it's a violation in my opinion. So bring it back to why I want to talk now. I was afraid because of my previous experiences. I don't trust that you're going to take care of me properly. I need to make sure I have an advocate. I need to make sure somebody's there to support me, because for all I know, you're going to give me something I'm allergic to, which they've done in the past already, you know? So when the nurse just kind of was like, well, I was offended, I ended up in seizure. So I don't know what happened between I'm offended to police coming in. So something happened.
So you were said that you were offended.
The nurse said
that she was offended.
The lady said that I've experienced racial experiences in that very hospital. And she goes, well, I'm offended. We have training or anti-racism training.
Oh,
or
the
something
DEI,
like
that so-called DEI training that they love to throw in the face, but they still don't behave right. That training.
So when she said that, I just kind of I don't know what happened, but it was like my brain just shut down and I went into seizure because I saw that this was going to be chaos and I needed to leave, but I couldn't pick myself up and leave. I'm stuck on this bed, can't do anything. But that was my warning that things were going to go bad. And, you know, I've had experiences where you can see that there's no connection. A doctor gave me a drug I was allergic to, and I said, I can't take this script. Can you give me something in a different class because I'm allergic? He looked at me like, well, what do you know about this? And I'm just like, I'm allergic to it, so I know which drugs I can and cannot take. I ended up going to the pharmacist, put it in. He told me, I said to him that, well, he told me it's not in the sulfa drug family, so I should be able to take it. He goes, you can't take this drug. It is a sulfa drug. It is in that class. You need to get a different drug. So.
You're muted. Yeah, somehow we can't hear you anymore. Please stand by, ladies and gentlemen, while she fixes her technical issue. So we can hear the rest of this story. That's funny because I see the mute button, like I see that you press it and then you press it off, but it's still muted for some reason. Try talking again. Yeah, you're still on mute. You know what? Why don't I take you out and then come back in and see if that makes a difference? Because now you're frozen. All right, she's going to come back. In the meantime, as she was saying, she is sharing her story of anti-Black racism in the health sector. She was in a hospital in London, Ontario, and had a medical situation, and the hospital staff was not taking her serious. And they ended up ultimately calling the police on her. But she's going to go ahead and tell the rest of her story. Let's see if she's coming back. Well, looks like we're still having technical issues. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to just send her a message real quick. This is the joys and pitfalls of live streaming, right? She'll get it sorted out and we will be back to the story. So tell me, family, is anybody excited for the fight tonight with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul? And who do you think is going to win? I know I am waiting with bated breath because I love boxing. And I'm so interested to see whether Mike Tyson wins. My money's on Mike Tyson, especially after we saw that slap. So this should be interesting. Let me know what you think. Drop your comment in the chat. Is it going to be Mike Tyson or Jake Paul? Just waiting for Patricia to sort out her technical issue, and we will be back to it. If not, we will resume. All right, she is back. Let's see.
Hi.
Oh, there we go. Back by popular
on my
demand.
story.
I know, right? All of a sudden, tisk
Oh
tisk.
my goodness.
The FBI internet, right?
Right?
Oh my gosh. So we were at the point where you were talking about this healthcare worker saying that she was offended, and then the next thing you know, you said police were called.
Yeah, so I just remember she was staring at me as she was saying, I wasn't speaking to her, she was on the phone, but she was staring at me as if it was coming out of my mouth. And
Right.
I'm looking at her and I can see the emotions on her face, as in like the anger that came in from the suggestion that maybe I was feeling anxious because of past experience. Not saying this experience was a racialized experience, but past experience was racialized. And
right, but she got offended by that, which is what they love to do.
Yes. So then I ended up in a seizure. I just remember waking up to my daughter on top of me, and I had a phone on me where a BLM activist, she was on the phone telling me to breathe to get me through, right? Because sometimes I would forget to breathe. This is what, with the swelling on the brain, I would forget to breathe. And I just remember my daughter's on top of me. Somebody's on the phone saying, breathe, Trish, breathe. And then there's police, security, nurse, another nurse, patients watching me, beeping sounds, lights, everything is happening.
This is what kills me. You're having a medical episode, and the police are there, and all of these health practitioners, and nobody is tending to you.
I remember saying, Shakira, I would say, I don't remember what the name of the lady was, but a couple of weeks prior, I had a meeting. I was doing a Zoom conference meeting about pathway to care for Black youth in our community. How can they better access care, or how can their family better access care in the healthcare system? So it's very ironic that a couple of weeks after that same conference, here I am in the same situation where I was calling out this lady's name. She's a Jewish lady. I can't remember her name right now, but I was calling her name out and saying, contact her, because she was saying that she was an advocate for us Black folks. She wanted to see better for us. So I was calling her name out, telling her, call them, because she works for that hospital network. I'm like, call her, she'll help. And then in that situation, it's like, my daughter told them that BLM was on the phone. I'm calling out this Jewish lady's name for them to call. I'm telling them I'm getting triggered by the police being there. And they're like, well, get off the phone. You can't have phone calls anyways. You have 5 minutes to get out of here. And I was just like,
so they were telling you to get out when you're going through.
Yes. So I told my daughter, they're going to kill me. Get me out of here. Forget it. So she's trying to close the curtain to get me, because I wanted to get dressed. I was naked, right? So I needed to put on clothes. And she's thinking about modesty. And I'm thinking about, who cares about modesty? Get my clothes on and get me out of here, right? And I'm yelling at her like, I can't see. I don't want to look at them. The uniform was just so triggering to me because we've had so many issues. A few weeks, I think it was a month before that, we're like, here in London, we were trying to get a Black crisis support team together to prevent things like this, because another Black man was face down in the snow while experiencing meningitis because police intervened in a medical situation. So all of those things are running through my head, and I'm just like, I need to get out of here. They're gonna kill me. Get me out. They're gonna kill me. I'm being triggered by the thing. I'm bawling. It got loud, and then eventually I just told her, forget the curtain. Just leave it alone. Get me dressed. Get me out. And she got me dressed with everybody just staring at me as I'm trying to put clothes on. And then they were trying to actually put me into the wheelchair, and she's like, get away. And she got between me and, I don't know if it was the security or the police, but one of them in uniform. She got in between me and them and said, don't touch my mom. And yeah, she did good. I have to say she did good that day.
Your daughter really was a G. She took care of you.
Was, and it was very traumatic for her. It's still very traumatic for her right now.
How old is your daughter?
She's 25, and as I think back to that day, that was the most advocate. She's done advocate work before, so I just, she can do it. But she just witnessed her mother go through one of the worst experiences that anybody could really experience, and I feel like she felt defeated that day, and she couldn't help. And usually, like the way that me and my children are, we will help. We'll figure it out. Like, come, you give us a problem, we'll solve it. And it was this moment where it was just defeat. And then after that, it was defeat after defeat because of this damaging report that they wrote to justify why I didn't get no kind of care, no blood work, no nothing. Nothing was done. It was just, I was in and out. And
so I'm sorry, because I'm struggling with this. So you went into the I'm just gonna package it. You went into the hospital, you had a medical episode. Clearly they didn't take your pain or anything that you were going through seriously. They refused to do any tests.
I don't know if they refused, because it shows that they ordered stuff.
Okay,
but it doesn't
but did they actually do it?
No, nothing was done.
So they just want to have it on record that, this is what we did. And then they want to try and spin it as you became a difficult patient.
Yes.
So they never got the opportunity to do it. And then because you were so difficult, or your daughter was so difficult, then comes the angry Black person, right? Where you can go in the hospital. I know I've been in the hospital many a times because I have parents in their mid 80s and we're in and out of the hospital for things and illnesses or whatever. And there can be the most aggressive and the most problematic patient that is not Black. And they take the time and patience. And I mean, I've never seen the police called on them. Never, not once. No. They give them warning upon warning upon warning. They may change them and they put them in a different room, but that's about the extent of it, right? They do not call the police. All we have to do is just raise our voice. Raise our voice, and it's like,
because in my work as a child and youth worker, there are times where I have to be at the hospital with clients, and I have children's mental health. The kids are all over the place. When they have a psychotic episode, it gets bad. It was nothing like something like I have dealt with in my work. So seeing that, these white females, they'll get away with whatever. You'll have them throw things. literally go to a nurse's station and destroy the whole thing, police isn't called. Patience. There's compassion. And when I saw that girl beside my cubicle, they were so gentle with her, and I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe, well, maybe. I remember making a note about it that day because it was like the way my brain was working, everything I stopped and I observed and I saw, and it took me a long time to communicate it. So I remember saying, oh, because I couldn't even get out of the chair and onto the bed until I said, oh, they're being so nice to her. Maybe we'll be okay,
Right. But your story was totally opposite.
It was totally opposite. And it's just like, well, I would have let it go. I would have let it go because they've been idiots before. They've been assholes before, and it's okay. It's not okay, but in my head,
I was about to say it's not okay.
Yes. It's not. But sometimes it's like, you know what, you pick your battles. But in this situation, to justify everything they did, they criminalized me. They criminalized my child.
And they used their whiteness to weaponize.
Exactly.
So what ultimately happened? We have about 20 minutes left. So what ultimately happened? Did they arrest you?
No, my daughter got me out of there fast. And the police literally stayed until she got to the car down to get me off the premises. Then they went their ways. But they didn't arrest me because I couldn't do it. I couldn't even yell at the people. All I could do was cry.
In a case like this, they should be going after the employee for calling the police for no reason, like false accusations. That's what it should be.
So in the end, though, I'm supposed to get neurology care and stuff like that. I can't because that report was sent to my doctors. They wrote a report, sent it to my doctor. My doctor then said to me I was a problematic patient. I've only seen my doctor, I think it was one time as an office visit to meet her, and then another time for a vaccine. And she doesn't know me. She doesn't know my history. She doesn't know that,
right.
Fine. But that report going to her, she saw it as, okay, well, I don't want to deal with you right now. You're going to have to deal with the hospital. We can't even take care of you. What they were saying at the time is that they can't take care of what I needed anyways because they don't have the proper equipment. I had swelling on my brain. What was a doctor's office going to do?
Right.
But, those type of things, it's just like, okay, well, now you've just put a domino effect because you wanted to criminalize me to justify your racist behavior, right? Had you just left it as patient left, I would have been able to continue. But it's been 3 years and that report follows me to the point where I had to have it locked because I went when I finally organized to go to the hospital again about 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later, I was at that hospital for 18 hours before a doctor saw me. And I'm going
because of the fact that on record you're listed as a problematic.
The police kept coming and he kept saying, like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand what's happening. You should have been seen. Patients are coming in and out watching, and they're like, why are you still here? They go in for something minor. They come out, I'm still there. And that report, it stained my whole experience to be able to even get the care I needed. Eventually, I got fed up. I said to everybody, I know you guys think this is a crisis that we need them to deal with it. No, we're going to deal with it ourselves. And because I could write and I could still research, and with my background, I do know some things about the brain and things like that. So I started literally researching. I'd screenshot things and send it to everybody that was in my care group. And I say, I think this is what's happening. I think this is what's happening. I found there's a thing that they use for Parkinson and Alzheimer's. And I'm like, if they're using that herb to make the drug, why do I need the drug? Let me go get the herb. So I got the herb. I got my dietitian sister for her to go through and give me the right dosage to do and how often, so I didn't mess my kidney up. So we literally, the team of people around me, all Black people, we figured out how to deal with it on our own. And at the end of it, I was on purees, I was on electrolytes, I was on all the things that I would have gone to the hospital for. It was being done at home. Hiring the PSW, things like that. We did it at home. And we did what we needed to do. And little by little, physical therapy came in and I was able to walk again. Now I walk the trail, I do like maybe 2 miles, not every day. Not every day.
I don't even do 2 miles every day. So there you go.
That's how far I can get to now, but
that's amazing.
Yeah, I've come a long way, and it's despite how they criminalize us. And there has been a lot of impact within the family though, because, I'm like, sometimes when I think back and I'm like, why would somebody behave like that? Shock? What did you say to them? What did you say to them? And I kept saying, did you guys say something that triggered all of this? Because it doesn't make sense otherwise. And then that puts,
and that's always the question. What did you do? It's always, what did you do or what did you say to make them behave this way? So and really the answer is, the only thing I did was be Black, period. That's what I did. That's my crime, the color of my skin. And
I'm accepting that now. I'm accepting that now, but at the beginning, there was a lot of distrust about everything that was happening because it didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense how we went from 0 to 5,000.
Yeah. And then the next thing you know, the police are here. What? Like, and again, this is something that happens so commonly to us. Like, we raise your voice. Oh my gosh, I'm so afraid. So, I felt threatened. I felt attacked. The one they love to use is attacked. I felt attacked. When they can be having the exact same altercation with somebody that looks like them. And they're like pound for pound with each other. But when we do
how does a person who cannot walk, can't move themselves,
exactly.
A person who literally got scared listening to the conversation and brain shutting down. How am I a threat? Do you understand?
Right. So now I'm gonna exactly. So I'm gonna ask, did you file any charges or a complaint against the hospital or the workers or anything? And where are you at with that?
It's been sitting for a few years. I'm gonna say a few because I think this is year 3.
And that's the other thing that happens.
This is the part that I find messed up. There is 2 law firms actively, consistently trying to throw this case out. And on the merits of there's no jurisdiction for this. So I'm technically advocating for myself right now. I don't have a lawyer. I am doing it on my own.
I was about to ask you, you don't have it. You haven't, do you? No. Okay. So would you, I know some Black lawyers that can definitely help.
Well, that would be great because I will
send you, I will text you their names when we get off this phone, and they are amazing, both of them. So I'm going to send you their info and definitely reach out to them. They're reasonable. They are helpful. I mean, they're amazing. So that's one thing that we're going to do to try and help resolve this, is to make sure you get legal representation that looks like us. Because just like if we had a doctor, a lawyer that looks like us, they get it. They have more than likely lived it. So they will be able to really advocate for us.
Ironic, just real quick, and the irony of this lawyer thing, when I went in about the metal inside of me, the first lawyer I spoke to, he told me I didn't have a case. The first lawyer in London told me I didn't have a case and that I can't sue the hospital. Guess whose firm now represents this hospital against me?
That same lawyer that said
told me I did not have a case. So I find it very ironic that
the lawyers that I know, they will take very good care of you, girl. Don't you worry. I will send you that information for sure. And please reach out to them. And so right now where we're at is it's pending. It's been a few years. There's been no movement. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure you get good representation so we can start moving this ball, because this is 100% unacceptable. This is something that commonly happens, but there are so many people that don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And we know why. A lot of them, they don't talk about it because they're fearful of losing their job, losing their livelihood. You know, they have bills to pay, they got food to put on the table, you know, and they're afraid also their reputation may be tarnished. And oftentimes, even with like students, for example, they're afraid that it's going to affect their grades. They're afraid that it'll affect them being able to graduate. They're also afraid that it'll get worse, you know, in the school
I've
for
heard
them,
that.
especially if nothing comes of it, or it's something that's being dragged out for years. They still got to get up and go to school, still have to get up and go to work. So there are all of these things that we as Black people will think about, and it'll psych us out. So that's why I'm happy that you were courageous enough to come on and tell us your story.
They can't take my work from me. I work for myself. I was
There
telling
you
a
go.
lawyer, I have a lawyer friend. I'm so glad that you're doing this. And I have a lot of people too, even nurses that speak about some of the experience that they see, but they're not willing to talk because they don't want to lose their job.
Oh, I know.
A heart surgeon, Black heart surgeon that wants to talk about, she validates what I have to say because of working in the hospitals herself. But I can't have her come public about anything because guess what? She won't have a job. But guess what? They can't take my job. I work for myself. And I'm at the point now, I think the reason why I'm actually really speaking about this right now is because there are days when they send documentation to me that make me feel like, okay, you know what? Can I really do this? And I'm like, even if I don't get through the complaint process, I still need the story out. I still need people to understand that you're not alone. And I've learned over the last 3 years of speaking to people that I meet and talk a little bit more. People are like, what? I don't understand. What happened here? I will show them the records and things like that. And they're like, yeah, no, you need to sue them. So my thing is, I am not the only person. There are so many people just that I have known that has gone through all of these things. But because of that fear of, if I speak out, I might lose my house, or I might lose my job, I might lose my position, I might lose my, whatever it is. And they're very good at doing that. And I'm just like, you know what? No, we need change. We need
absolutely. We have to start holding them accountable. We have to start holding them accountable. We cannot allow them to have that level of power. And I'm going to read a comment from one of the viewers. It's got a question
there's
for
viewers.
you.
Hi, viewers. I forgot there was viewers.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Michael Pan. Hey, Michael. Thanks so much for joining. So Michael has a question for you. Patricia, do you think that Canada's healthcare system needs privatization because them folks control public funding of healthcare?
So while I was trying to access care, I remember I emailed over 100 people just asking for help. And there are some people on my list that are doctors, because again, 17 years in social services, I've met a few people. And one of them was a Black doctor, and he responded to me and said, we can't do private healthcare. And that was the first time that I was just like, what the heck? Privatization should be a thing here, because if I want to go pay out of pocket to actually get the care that I want to get and the care that I need, I should be able to do that. I don't need the government telling me, oh, well, you need to go through 1,600 visits before you get your diagnosis. I don't want to have to deal with that. So, usually I would say no. But from this experience, if we had private healthcare, we wouldn't be dealing with some of the things that we deal with, because we would be able to choose who our healthcare providers are. And if we're choosing, because I know a lot of Black people that are looking for Black healthcare providers, dentists, just providers in general, I feel like a lot of people would be out of business. A lot of people would be out of business. So forcing them to give the proper care if it went private, I think, personally. And I was never about private healthcare until I got so sick.
That plus, if we had that one economic infrastructure of a hospital that was owned by Black people, run by Black doctors, listen,
Yeah.
the amount of hospitals and healthcare practitioners that would be out of business. I mean,
Exactly.
even in my area, and I was so excited about it. We got a new clinic out here in the Niagara region, and all 4 doctors that run this clinic are from Africa. So I was so excited. I put it on my TikTok. I put it everywhere because it is rare. So when
Yeah.
that happens, we got to make sure we celebrate it and make sure, Black people come out
Mhm.
and try and retain this doctor because they understand the fight, they understand the struggle, they understand our anatomy, our body.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly. The anatomy, because sometimes they forget that. Oh, you know how they do like the kidney care, even with the neutropenia stuff, they say, oh, well, Black people experience that. But you know what? They can live through it. They're fine. Everything's okay. You shouldn't be
oh
having,
yeah, because
doing
well, also because a lot of everything that they do, the testing, due to lack of race-based data here in Canada, is based off of a 35-year-old white male.
exactly.
So, then they have to take whatever like, say we run our labs, our blood work, they go, take this and calculate it by this, and then you'll get the Black person's result because we don't have the race-based data here. And
They
that's
don't.
another problem. Michael
Yep.
has another question, and it's for both of us, Emma and Patricia. Do you think that privatized healthcare system would eliminate medical racism? Well,
No.
I'm gonna say no. I think the only thing that we have to our advantage is just like a hospital that's run and owned by Black people. That to me would be the best case scenario for our people. I think because I think even with privatized, you're still gonna have to deal with government. You're still gonna have to deal with certain
Exactly. The systemic issues,
right.
it makes me say no because with the medical licensing and the education that you get, you're not getting
Ex-
education on Black people.
Exactly.
They're not doing trauma informed care. This is one of the things that I keep talking about. They don't do trauma informed care. So if let's say that you're coming from that lens and you're teaching for the diversity of the whole nation. So first of all, you're allowing Black folks to enter in as nurses and doctors
Right.
and those getting the credentials, but then at the same time to be the teachers, to teach through their
Exactly.
lens. If that's not happening, because it's a systemic thing, there's levels to it, right? So
Exactly.
from the very bottom right to the top, it has to have the same type of approach. Otherwise, no. Privatization alone is not going
It
to
will
solve
not eradicate. And
it.
on
No.
top of that, even what they're doing now a lot is they will hire a Black doctor to train white doctors or to
Yeah.
train or hire a Black nurse to train white nurses on
Yeah.
things that, right? Like, and not even in medical care, even in our
Mhm.
hair. They'll hire a
Oh,
Black person to train
yeah.
white people. So
In
Patricia and
everything, I feel that
Patricia
I
and I are Patricia and I are twisted sisters, okay? We're lock sisters. And
Yeah.
what they will do here is they will hire a Black loctician to teach white people
Mhm.
how to lock our hair. Could you
Yeah.
imagine? And
Yeah.
so that's to tell you, Michael, the level in which what we're dealing with here, and fortunately that one Black loctician said, heck no. You're going
Oh
to
no.
hire me to teach them. You're not going to hire me to train them to teach other people. Michael has another question. Patricia, have you thought about moving to the African continent for healthcare? Because you and
I
your
have.
people,
I
oh,
have.
there's the
I
yes. She said she has,
funny
Michael.
thing, funny thing, before this happened, I was having some stuff with my heart and I couldn't get through here. So I was actually thinking of going to the Heart Institute in Jamaica. And then I went and they were like, oh no, people in Jamaica were like, yeah, I know you don't want to do care here. So I was looking at doing care on the continent. And anybody who knows me, anybody who knows me knows that I've kind of checked out of Canadian system of doing everything. So definitely, I would totally want to go there. How that's going to happen, I'm not quite sure how the logistics is going to work. At one point, I was ready to go, and then my kids are like, no, you can't go. You'll never come back. So
You listen, as an African, I'm telling you, you will never come back.
I know I will never come back. I'm pretty much checked out of this place. So I know I wouldn't come back.
And if you do come back, it'll be just to gather the rest of your things and go right back.
Exactly. So
oh my gosh, this has been.
I think where I'm at right now, because I do have a lot of Africans around me, that I've learned a lot of natural way of doing things, or the African way of doing things anyway. So that's what's helped me in my, I'm not telling you how old I am, in all my decades of living. That's what's helped me, because the medical system hasn't helped me in any way, and I've had to figure it out myself. And one day I will go and I will get a nice checkup to see what I need. And for the most part right now, because of the way that I care for myself, I'm very natural about everything that I do. I've been okay-ish since that crisis a couple of years ago. And anytime, like, I have my own blood pressure monitor that I check, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's happening. You know what? Okay, let's go zen out. Let's go get a massage.
You're in tune with your body, like, you know. Yeah, and that's what we have to do. Like, I mean, we literally have to take charge of our health, because, and fortunately, we live in a world now where there's so much resources. So if your doctor isn't taking your pain or whatever seriously, you know, you can kind of like find somebody else, or go for a second opinion or a third opinion. Holistic healing, there's naturopaths, there's all kinds of things now.
It was a registered nurse that came and told us how I needed to lay to get my spinal fluid to flow properly. And that was that day when she came. She taught me about the positioning, for patient care positioning. She told me about the hydration and the trying to make sure that the electrolytes are balanced, and then the dopamine. She said dopamine, and I was like, huh. So I started researching, and if it wasn't for those type of influences, like I had the heart surgeon come and sit in my chair, and she told me a whole lot of stuff, and she's Black, and she relates to me, and she helped me. And that's how I've been getting my care right now, because I can't get it else. I get it from the people in medicine that cares about us,
right?
That is done in an informal way, because nothing's privatized, so I can't actually privately go see them. But that's how I've been doing it, and I do alternative everything. Everything is alternative, because I am terrified of going back into those hospitals and trusting anything that they have to say. Even for them to touch me right now, it gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
And you have every right to feel that way. But I'll tell you what, you look great. So and you sound, you know, you look vibrant, you sound vibrant, you look great. So whatever care you're getting, it worked out that way, probably by God's permission, that you were removed from that horrible situation. God only knows if they even bothered or tried to give you care, what might have happened, because you weren't in a safe space. You were in a space where people had an issue with the color of your skin, and it might have ended badly for you. So I feel like that was divine intervention, stepping in and making it loud. The message was loud that you need to get out of here. Okay. And so I'm so glad that, you know, you have found somebody who looks like us, who is treating you with the natural way. And Michael, again, has a couple more questions for us, and then we will wrap up. So Michael says, Emma and Patricia, dealing with racism adds a lot of stress. I want to see both of you happy. Reparations are needed for your people. Hey, amen to that, Michael. I do 100%. Will we get that reparations? Doubtful. Will it happen in my lifetime? Very doubtful. I mean, at this point in Canada, the only thing we're asking for is an apology, and we can't even get that.
That was all I was asking for, an apology, and here we are.
Can't even get that. You know, so he has one more. So, Michael has one more question. Patricia and Emma, are both of you ready for the provincial government to cut funding for healthcare? Because them folks have no interest in maintaining the healthcare system.
Let them cut it. That's what I say. Let them cut it, because really and truly, what are they doing? They're not doing anything anyways. They can cut it. This free healthcare situation, I don't think it's beneficial. People always say, oh, well, Canada has free healthcare. Yeah, healthcare that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It's not technically free. I mean, we're paying for it in our taxes. Yeah. So it's, I mean, I will say that, you know, contrary to the United States, if we have something going on with us, we can go in and get ultrasounds and all of the more expensive testing.
If they allow it, because
if they allow it, for sure. But you won't have to pay. Is my, I guess my point is that you can go in.
If you're the lucky one. If you're the lucky one. Yeah.
Which, I mean, fortunately, you know, I've gone in for stuff and I'll get the ultrasounds and the tests and the mammograms and all of those things, right? That costs a lot of money. Yeah. And that, I guess my point is that when it comes to that, that's what people like to attribute to free, but it's not free. It's free in the sense of you can go in and not have that stress of walking out with a bill, but we're paying for it. It's just coming out of in taxes. But so in that regard, yeah, we like to call it free, but again, is it really free when something like this can happen to you? You don't get any care at all. All you get is the police. So, right. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, Patricia, I want to see you happy, and you should not have to deal with medical racism, because Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have integrated my people into a burning house. We need to rescue our people. 100%. And that is why we will continue, and I know I myself will continue to expose any injustices. So I'm putting another call out to my brothers and sisters here in Canada or anywhere in the world. If you have a story and you want to come forward and share your story, you reach out to me. My email address is available on this platform. You can send me a message and we'll make it happen. I am about exposing injustices. Okay. So with that, I'm going to thank Patricia again for sharing her story. And as I said, I'm going to make sure that you are put in touch with two very powerful and reputable Black attorneys here in Ontario, and they will take really, really good care of you. And final note from Michael. He says, Patricia, Africa is waiting for you. Please consider moving immediately. Please consider moving immediately. Thank you.
It's been considered too many times. I'm ready.
I'll go with you, hell. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you. It's been great. Thank you for, again, having the courage to tell your story. Let everybody know where they can find you. If they want to send you a personal message and send you some words of encouragement, give us your Instagram, give us your Facebook, let them know where they can, connect with you.
I think everything is under Empress Myowa right now. I'm already on the continent. My name is Empress Myowa on pretty much all of my personal social media stuff. And I think
Empress Myowa?
Empress Myowa. So Mayowa. It means
there you go. Empress Mayowa. If anybody wants to reach out to Patricia, and if anybody has any other resources or know of any other physicians that we can connect her with, reach out to Patricia. Offer her some support. If anybody else knows of any Black attorneys or anything, reach out to Patricia. Let's help this sister so that she can be made whole. Thank you, girl. Thank you, my twisted sister. It's been great. And thank you to everybody that was watching. Tune in next Friday. We're having the part 2 of interracial relationships, except this time we're going to have a brother on who dated predominantly white women and then ended up settling down with a sister. So he's going to share his journey as to why he was, with the snow bunnies, as Dr. Umar would say, and then ultimately, settled down with a sister, and what sort of cultural differences and what was it really about that sister that he was finally like, oh, I finally, this is the one. So tune in next Friday, 7 p.m. And I'll be sending out the promos prior to, and we'll see everybody again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good night. Go watch the Tyson fight, Tyson versus Jake Paul. And I am rooting for Tyson. Woo, woo. All right,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.